Hello, my name's Tom and I'm back for some final thoughts. I managed to squeeze in a little bit of recording time, so I thought I'd just quickly summarise my thoughts because there's a lot of thoughts going on as per usual. We're going to Las Vegas. The deadline is 12, 13 hours from now as of recording, so we're cutting it a bit fine, but it's a bit of a messed up schedule with Las Vegas timings, like track timings are just absurd. Doing FP2 from like 2:30 in the morning is just insane to me, but that's the show must go on, as they say, and the show has gone on, and we've had FP2. You can see the FP2 results up in the top left corner. I've shoved up there so you can just keep an eye on it as I go through the video, and you'll notice there's a lot of red in my team at the moment, and that's because Ferrari are looking good. And now I've thought this a couple of times earlier on in the season, and obviously it's paid off. Is it going to pay off again this time? So obviously Monza, I think back to Monza, the Ferraris look good. We had the three practice sessions then. We had lots of data, lots of information, and the Ferraris look good. A lot of us went in on the Ferraris in Monza and it paid off. Same thing happened in Singapore. Again, we had some practice sessions going into Singapore and all the things were pointing towards Ferrari looking good, Red Bull not so good. I went in on Ferrari, lots of us did. And again, it paid off in Singapore. And now we have that same situation again. We're in Las Vegas. I had the impression that the Ferraris would be pretty decent here. But as the interviews start opening up, Leclerc and Sainz start interviewing and talking about their chances, immediately I could sense like an air of confidence and a belief that they can really fight for the podium and maybe even the win. Maybe. And now we've had FP2, and the data and the track times, the lap times are really representing that once again the Ferraris should heavily be on our radar. This is exactly what I personally did not want. I mean, it's great for fantasy as a whole, but when you're kind of up there, kind of sitting on top of the rankings, you want nice, steady, everyone stick to the template, no one do anything drastic, and we'll hold on to our ranks. And now it's all up in the air. There'll be lots of teams that will be jumping on Ferraris. Do people go all in on Ferrari? Do people just have one asset? Do we go Carlos Sainz? Do we go Leclerc? Carlos Sainz has got the grid penalty. Leclerc is just fast and will probably start in the front row of the grid. The Ferrari race pace looks pretty decent. And then there'll be a bunch of other teams that are just going to sit tight, trust in the template, stick to McLaren, maybe just edge one Ferrari asset. Who knows? It's really tough because obviously, depending on which way you go, if it doesn't pay off for you, it's going to hurt. For me personally, I'm comfortably in the top 1,000 at the moment. If I go down the Ferrari route and buy away the team on screen, which I'm heavily considering, is a -8 for me because I used my wild card already. So I would be -8 in. But if it doesn't pay off, on top of the -8, it's going to really hurt me, and I'll probably fall out of the top 1,000. That's how extreme I anticipate this weekend to be. However, if it pays off, then I should be not only cementing my position, maybe even climbing into the top 100, which would be really sweet. So it's all about risk and reward. And like I say, what do we do, basically? I've got this team on screen at the moment, and the Ferraris, like I say, they've looked fast. You can see in the top left corner, like I say, the practice times for FP2, because let's not get into it too much, but FP1 was just a complete embarrassment to F1. Let's not get into it. It was an embarrassment, and that's going to draw the line at that point. But yeah, the Ferraris, thankfully, like Carlos Sainz's car was able to be repaired. Obviously, he's got that grid penalty. How does the grid penalty affect things? Does it make him more appealing? Yes. Does it make him less appealing? Yes. So what do I mean by that? The grid penalty is great for fantasy because obviously he's going to qualify probably on the front like 2 rows, get those qualifying points, but then sit back in like P12, P13 and hopefully be able to push forward in the race, gain positions, make overtakes, driver of the day potential. Particularly, a lot of people might feel sorry for Carlos Sainz at the moment because of what happened in FP1 with, completely not his fault, not Ferrari's fault, but they've been heavily penalised both financially in terms of repairing the car and in terms of actually, the 10 place grid penalty. If Carlos Sainz has a good race from starting, the back half of the grid, I can definitely see driver of the day opportunities there for him. Although I do know that predicting driver of the day is just really hard, and I know everyone loves Lando Norris and keeps giving it to him, but I will say that there's definitely an advantage there to Carlos Sainz if he gets through that sort of first lap in particular. And that is kind of, in my opinion, the real drawback to having Carlos Sainz and Ferrari in our teams, because we know guaranteed, even if he qualifies in the front row, he won't be starting there. He's going to be starting back in the meat grinder. And as we saw back in Brazil, what happened in the meat grinder with Albon and Hulkenberg, and just total chaos. And it's going to be a similar story potentially on that cold track in Las Vegas, going into the turn 1 for the first time ever down there. Is it going to be just chaos? Is there going to be collisions? Are people going to have cold brakes and going too hot and go into the back of someone? Carlos Sainz is going to be right in the thick of that, and it does concern me somewhat. But But there's such a big upside to him if he gets through that sort of first lap or so, or first corner, should we say. Then I think the upside to Carlos Sainz and Ferrari constructor is phenomenal. And the fact that, like I said, the race pace, if you look at the race pace, the Ferraris are pretty much on par with Red Bull. I will say the Red Bulls were using older tyres, so the Red Bulls are probably actually stronger than anticipated. So, if you wanted to kind of not go all in on Red Bulls, I can't quite get to Sergio Perez there, but go Carlos Sainz instead. So I could even end up kind of going with a team like this potentially. In fact, can I actually get to? No, I can actually hold on to Albon, and then I can actually only do. No, that's still a -4 for me. So yeah, -8 for me. So yeah, I'm just trying to find ways where I don't have to take a -8 basically, and there's not many ways around it. But I do think the Ferrari assets are certainly appealing because not only do they look good, and yes, they look kind of on par with Red Bull at the moment, even though I don't think they'll be quite on par during the race because the Red Bulls will just, with fresher tyres compared to what they've been using in FP2, will probably be stronger. Max Verstappen will probably still sail off into the distance, providing there's no random accidents. But I do think that we should certainly be considering the Ferrari assets, at least one, maybe two, or heavily going on all three, potentially. And I think the biggest Ferrari asset for me is going to be the constructor, in particular because the McLarens themselves do not look good. They were like a second off the pace in terms of race pace, and also quality. The drivers were complaining, they weren't happy. Obviously, we've got FP3 still to come, and there'll be changes overnight. Is it overnight? Everyone's lost sense of time with what's going on in Las Vegas. I got so confused. I've been so confused all week leading up to this. Like, wait, is the practice sessions tonight? Tomorrow morning? Wait, how does that work with Las Vegas? Are they behind us? Are they ahead of us? I've been like all over the place, even though I know in my head like America are behind us in terms of time from the UK. But anyway, that's a whole other story. It's confused me. And let's forget about that for a second. But just think, what do we want to do basically with the Ferraris? I think like I say, the best Ferrari asset for me is the constructor, because the McLarens don't look great. Bringing in the Ferrari constructor should be a good boon for us. For me personally, that means if I just flick back to my current team, actually, if I can actually click on the button. I'm too excited. I can't click. So this is my current team. Less said about Lewis Hamilton in Brazil, the better. So if we get rid of Lewis Hamilton, even though Mercedes don't look, too bad, I think I want to really focus my attention on the Ferraris here. Even though, once again, I'll just put a little advocate out there. Trusting the Ferraris hasn't always gone well in the past. Hasn't always gone well because we know, the long sort of ongoing joke about Ferrari strategy, Ferrari reliability. We just saw in the last race the Clerk, the DNS did not start the race because of a reliability issue. It does concern me for sure going in on the Ferraris, but like I said, I have done it again. I have done it in Monza, I have done it in Singapore, it's paid off. I'm hoping it will do it again if I go with them again. And I feel like if I don't go with the Ferraris and I just sit there with the McLarens, I feel like I'm going against what everything's telling us to do. Like the time and the lap times, the confidence coming out of the interviews, particularly from Charles Leclerc. There's a lot of confidence in that Ferrari camp, and I think if I don't go with the Ferraris, I think I would regret it and look back on it thinking, why didn't I just go for it? It's so obvious. It's just staring me in the face. Look at the FP1, FP2 times. It's staring us in the face. And yes, it could backfire. Of course, it could backfire. But I think not going for something that's staring you in the face because you're a bit scared of something is the avenue for regret later on when it actually pays off. So I'm hoping it's going to pay off. I'm almost certainly going to go Ferrari. I will have a quick sleep before FP3 will be during my sleep, and then I'll wake up with roughly an hour or two before the actual deadline. So I'll have a proper think about it with FP3 data in the bank as well. But like I say, this is my team. I'm waffling again, aren't I? So we got rid of Lewis Hamilton. I could just do a really simple swap. Don't have to take any hits. I could do that, and then I could bring in. I could get rid of Albon. I could get up to like Fernando Alonso, who also looks really good. He's at, P3? So I could just do like a no-hit team, just keep kind of rough template, but just touch on the Ferraris a little bit. And this is quite tempting because, it feels safe because it's more or less template. I've got that safety of McLaren, who have just been so good, and Lando Norris keeps getting podiums. Everything will be fine. Just stick with it. Hold my rank. Everything will be fine. Although this doesn't obviously work out so well if all the teams behind me are piling on Ferrari, and I've only got Carlos Sainz. But yeah, I do like the look of this team because it does mean I don't have to take any -4s, which is great. Alternative is, like I said, the team. I want to keep Lando Norris, sorry. Bear with me 2 seconds. So the other alternative is going to Ferrari, and then with 8.8, I would probably drop down to Daniel Ricciardo. So this would only be a -3, and I've still got a little bit of money in the bank. So that's swapping out the constructor plus Hamilton and Albon for Ricciardo. I don't mind going with the double AlphaTauris, to be honest. I know it's hard to read too much into like qualifying times and stuff in terms of practice, but on the official F1 website, the AlphaTauri were ranked bottom for qualifying and like 5th or 6th or something for race pace, so that's obviously great. So I don't mind too much doing this. But you know, if I've gone this far, I've taken a -4 to get to this team, then what's another -4 for getting rid of Lando, who's, you know, served me so well recently, but just bringing Charles Leclerc and just kind of going all in. Like, what do you guys think? -8 for this team. It is pushing the budget out. As someone commented when I posted this team out on Twitter earlier today, that it looks like a limitless team, and it pretty much does almost look like a limitless team. It's kind of cool with 0.1 in the bank, really pushing the budget to limit. That's another advantage to this team. Having a bigger budget than most people means a lot of other people won't be able to afford this team. So if it does pay off, then you know that -8 could make up for itself just by virtue of having such great assets. And then, of course, the other thing to think about is if we completely ditch off McLaren, do we want them back for Abu Dhabi? And to be honest, ditching off McLaren entirely with just one race to go after Las Vegas makes me more confident in kind of going all in on Ferraris, because I also think Abu Dhabi should fairly suit the Ferraris fairly well anyway as well. And, you know, with 2 free transfers every week, it's not too difficult to get back to some McLaren coverage for Abu Dhabi, so I'm not too worried about it. And then, like I say, past Abu Dhabi, who cares what's going on past Abu Dhabi, because that'll be it. That'll be the final rank set in stone. So yeah, that in terms of that, you know, if it was like middle of the season and I was completely shifting off McLarens, I wouldn't like it. But I don't think these last couple of tracks particularly suit McLaren. They're not very great at the top line, straight line speed, and you know, both the next 2 tracks, the last 2 races of the season, suit cars have got good straight line speed, and we know the Ferraris generally excel at that this season. So that's where my thinking is at the moment. -4s, -8s, everything's gone to pot. My team selection video was like, I'm going to play nice and safe, keep the McLaren template, maybe I'll even go back to Perez, or maybe I'll have Carlos Sainz, and now it's like, nope, -4, -8, sending it with the Ferraris. So yeah, it's exciting. It's also a bit, you know, scary as well, I suppose, but you cannot deny that Ferraris look tasty this weekend. So will they deliver? Will they let us down? Will we have pie in our face? Will we look like clowns? That was almost a bit of poetry there. I didn't really mean that, but there we go. Yeah, those are kind of my final thoughts. I'm sure it's a little bit rushed and condensed. This video is a little bit rushed, like I say, because I am in like a little window of opportunity where I can actually record. I wasn't even going to record, but I got all excited because of everything that was going on with the Ferraris, and I'm just like, I need a recording to tell everybody what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. I may well be doing this, but like I say, still FP3 to go. I'll look at a little bit more at the lap times and the longer runs and that sort of thing, and try and get as much analysis as I can before the deadline tomorrow morning, and then make my final decision. How much do I want to plunge into the red zone? Yeah, so that's it for my final thoughts. What are you thinking? Are you going to trust the Ferraris? How much are you going to trust the Ferraris? Are you just ditching off the trusty McLarens that have done so well for us so far in the last few races? You know, the top like 1,000 or more teams, probably the top 10,000 or more teams, are probably like heavily on McLaren. So, you know, breaking away from that makes me worried, particularly, you know, if I was like ranked 5 to 10k, I'd just be absolutely going for it without question. I want to climb up, hit into top 1,000. I think big jumps can be made this week. For anyone further back, big jumps can be made, and I think this is the opportunity if you jump on the Ferrari bandwagon and hope for the best. And similarly, that's kind of what I'm doing, even though I'm at the opposite end and I'm very high ranked at the moment. I don't want to change the way I'm playing. I don't want to just play scared, like, oh, I'm just going to sit on top of the hill and hope the template protects me, because that's not how I've played all season, and I think this is the right way to play it. If it backfires, we'll take it on the chin and go to Abu Dhabi and finish off, hopefully still with a decent rank. But I think Ferrari look like the way to go this weekend. So that's it for me for now. I'll see you for Abu Dhabi. Good luck, everyone, for this weekend. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Like, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. See you later. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.